Pixar kind of changed the game when it came to mainstream animated films in general. It was groundbreaking for computer animation, whereas traditional animation had kind of ruled the world for a long time. Then Pixar comes out with the first feature-length 3D animated film, Toy Story. That broke new ground, kind of changed the game for everybody, and now the dominant mainstream film animation style is computer-generated animation. However you feel about that, I think there's great works of art no matter what in animation. I'm the animation guy. I'm Mr. Animation. Ignore Schaefer-Liz and everybody else who does this. I'm one of the many people who yaps about animation online, and it's fun to rank things. It's fun to put things in tier lists, you know, especially whenever you get to know the person. And people have asked me all the time, like, what did you think of this movie or this movie? This will be a good way and a fun way here live to rank them, put them in order, let you guys know how I feel about these movies. And even though we're going to disagree, we're probably going to disagree on a few of them. That's fine. It's going to happen. Happens to everybody. We all disagree. That's okay. Discourse is good. Positive, negative, doesn't matter. Whether it's negative or positive, it boosts my engagement. So boom, there it is. It's in chronological order. That's the way we're going to go through them. I'm going to spend some time kind of explaining my reasoning as to where I put them with tier lists. You know, S is like the best of the best. A is great. B is good. C is kind of like middle of the road. D is below average. E is bad, I would say. F is terrible. And I'll explain my reasonings more and more as we go. To get it started in here, we're gonna talk about Toy Story. The very first Pixar film ever made, the first 3D animated film ever released to the public, Toy Story. And for being the very first of its kind, what a revolutionary movie. And what a movie that still holds up today, like incredibly well today. I grew up with this movie, as a lot of people did. I think it's one of those like staple clamshell VHS tapes that everybody had growing up in the late 90s, early 2000s. It's a classic for many reasons. I'll start with the positives on these movies as I go and then kind of work towards the negatives. Positives about Toy Story, I mean, there's so many. The story is so simple, and that's kind of why I love it. For being like the first of its kind, these movies would get more and more complex as they went. Toy Story kept it simple. It kept it basic. It's about rivalry, jealousy between two people who want to do a good thing for a kid. Buzz kind of learns as the film goes on, yeah, he's not a space ranger, he is not this fictional hero that this kid idolizes, but he still is idolized by this kid either way. Even if he is not the real Buzz Lightyear, he is someone that matters to a child, and Woody has to realize that bringing happiness to this person, to this kid, involves being shared with other toys. He doesn't have to have a favorite, they just have to be there for him no matter what. That message is very important. It's a beautiful one. It's a funny one. This is a funny movie. It's a very funny movie. Like, still gets very loud laughs out of me. I quote it from beginning to end, no problem. I cannot miss a line. I think Toy Story, without a doubt, is worthy of A, in my opinion. Why A instead of S? Well, I think there is a Toy Story sequel that's a little bit better. But Toy Story is a classic. It deserves A at a minimum. Toy Story comes out, it's a banger, right? Pixar says, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna make Bug's Life. A Bug's Life, gotta be honest, not a huge fan of A Bug's Life. Not a bad movie. It's not bad, in my opinion. I enjoy it. I think it's totally fine. Very serviceable, easy film, inoffensive for the whole family, you know. Positives with the film are, I like its message. I think the best scene in the film is toward the end, whenever the protagonist stands up to Hopper and rallies all of the ants to him, saying like, you know, we outnumber you, we know our worth, we know the goods that we provide, and you're just trying to keep us in line by fear because you know that we outnumber you 10-1. And that's a very strong scene in the film. I really enjoy that. The issue though is I wish I liked the characters more for that to hit even harder. I don't love any of the characters in this movie. Don't hate him either. I like Hopper, I think, as a villain. I think he's very effective. He works to help that message work. But Fleck, the main character, doesn't do a whole lot for me. He doesn't have a really interesting journey. He messes everything up and fixes everything at the end. And, you know, to quote Doug Walker from however many years ago, it's a valid criticism, though, as funny as it is. It has that liar revealed story where like, oh, you said you were hero bugs, but you're circus bugs, and you even though you were effectively going to save the day and your plan was going to work, you lied to us, so go away, and it endangers everybody for no reason. And I'm not a fan of that whole story beat. I think it slows the movie down. The circus bugs, they're funny, but they're only funny because like they just do their one bit over and over. Like they do their one gag consistently. There's like the ladybug who everybody thinks is a lady, big worm wants to be a butterfly. They don't really evolve past their gags. They don't do a whole lot besides that, which you could say the same thing about Toy Story, but there's more of the toys in Andy's room for me to like them more, especially within the sequels, that I feel attached to those side characters more than I do the circus bugs. But with all that said, with those negatives out of the way, it's still a good movie. The animation's pretty good. I like the zoomed in sort of micro world that we live in. I think there's some fun visual gags here and there with how the bugs live in their society, how they work. But for the most part though, I don't think it's a strong film by any means. I wouldn't really rush to watch it again, but if it was on TV, I might stick around and enjoy it a little bit. I think Bug's Life, with its issues though, it's not a bad film. I think it's a perfect C. It's a good, middle of the road, perfectly fine movie. Inoffensive. You can enjoy it if it's on. Movie. It does what it's supposed to do. That's the way I feel about it. So Bug's Life, kind of a step down a little bit from Toy Story. Kind of a step down, but after Bug's Life, they're working on this direct-to-DVD Toy Story movie, and they decide, hey, let's make it theatrical. Let's change the story a little bit. Let's bump it up to a theatrical release. Let's make Toy Story 2. And let me get this right out of the way. S tier. Toy Story 2, it's kind of amazing what it was able to do with everything that worked so well with Toy Story 1. Like, everything that movie did right, Toy Story 2 did better, and with more emotion and more new characters that actually worked as new characters. They didn't just feel like, oh, here's new toys to sell. It felt like new additions to challenge the protagonists, challenge them on their beliefs and ideals, to take the story of Woody in the first film and give that role essentially to Buzz, someone trying to convince another, hey, you have value for this kid, you have value for this person, you need to come home, you are a toy. I think that's brilliant writing. Woody's journey in this film is so great and beautiful and so heartwarming to watch that it wraps me up every single time. And just like the first movie, this is a funny ass movie. It's very funny. I'd argue even funnier than the first movie. There are jokes here that work so well that don't feel dated in any way. They just feel right for the characters to make those jokes. The whole Roundup gang works very well. They're great additions. Bullseye is just a really funny, silent comedic relief character, but also even gets a little bit of emotion towards the end. Like, he forms a real bond with Woody before anybody else does. Jessie has her whole scene where she just goes through this memory of being lost and left behind by Emily, her previous owner. It's heartwarming, it's beautiful, it's such a simple scene, but it works so well, and every time it never feels out of nowhere to me. It feels so earned, and you understand her perspective. And then you get the Prospector, the best twist villain they've ever done, without a doubt. Like, you genuinely like the guy. Like, you feel like he's giving Woody every chance. Like, okay, dude, come on, hang out with us. I'll be chill with you. I'll reason with you. And then he can't do it, and he turns on him, and it just works as a villain. Toy Story 2 is great. What else can I even say about Toy Story 2, man? It's a perfect sequel, in my opinion. One of the greatest sequels ever made, without a doubt. It's an easy S tier Pixar film. Might be their best, but hey, there's a few more that I think belong in S. I think there are a few more just from looking at it. We'll get to them when we get to them. But the next movie we got after Toy Story 2, good old Monsters, Inc. Monsters, Inc. comes next. Monsters, Inc. also classic Pixar. This is when I think they were like riding high. Such an imaginative film. Like, it takes that idea of like monsters having a day job. They're just doing their work. I like the society that they live in. I like Monstropolis, I think they call it. Is that what it is? Monstropolis? I could be totally wrong. John Goodman and Billy Crystal are just as good of a pair as Tom Hanks and Tim Allen. I think they work just as well, if not even a little better. Like, there's more scenes of Mike and Sully cutting it and being buddies and just trying to get through this situation than like Woody and Buzz are like at ends, or like at odds with one another in both of their films. We get more of them being buddies in Monsters, Inc. Billy Crystal's hilarious in this movie. John Goodman's really funny too. The scene when and this is the animation, this is entirely the animation department, when he thinks that Boo is getting like crushed in that trash compactor and he's got those crazy faces, that's funny. It's very funny. What else can I say? I love the villains in this movie. We get two great villains in this movie. Water Noose, and you get Randall. Randall is just a really good like rival. Steve Buscemi. It's Steve Buscemi. Born to play a character that looks like that, if I'm being honest. It's such a fun rivalry between him and Sully. And like, I love the idea that Sully doesn't take it as seriously as he does. It's just a scare record to him. And that person is the perfect person to manipulate into working for someone like Water Noose, who might be one of the most evil Pixar villains ever. It might be Water Noose. You know, there's that iconic, I'd kidnap 1,000 children before I let this company die. That is so evil and dark, and he's doing it just for like this evil capitalist corporate greed. Kind of complex for a movie marketed mostly towards kids. Also, the score for this, I haven't talked much about the scores yet. Randy Newman does the music for, I think most of these is Randy Newman for these first few anyway. Love his music for this one. Not a huge fan of his music for like Bug's Life. Love the piano, jazzy saxophone opening to this, the little 2D animated opening. Love Wouldn't Have Nothing If I Didn't Have You. Love that song. It's funny. If I had to rank this one, I don't know if I put it as high as Toy Story 2, but I am going to put it in A. I think it's an A tier Pixar. It's one I'd rewatch anytime. Very funny. Now, another one for the Pixar list of bangers here, Finding Nemo. Finding Nemo was next. Finding Nemo was one, when I was younger, man, I would have told you this was like S tier when I was younger. I used to watch it all the time, quoted it consistently, thought Dory was hilarious. I have changed a little bit on it, I will say, but it's still great. I do think it's a very, very good movie. There are some things that are holding it back for me a little bit, but to get the positives out of the way, because there are tons of them. The first is the setting itself. I think the underwater, the ocean environment is so pretty. Like, this was them stretching animation, because notoriously in animation, 3D animation, 2D animation, doesn't matter what kind, water's notoriously difficult. And they made a whole film that took place in water with fish. Not easy to do. And they pulled it off beautifully. I like the relationship between Marlin, his son, and also like the friendship between him and Dory. I think it works. Albert Brooks does a great job playing that and growing as a character, starting out very strict, but you understand why he is that way. The opening scene is heartbreaking, and you can kind of see how he used to be. You could see Nemo in him in the opening scene. I really think that's strong, because when he becomes very protective, you know where Nemo gets the adventurous stuff from, because I think Marlin had it at the beginning. I really do. I like the journey to go find Nemo. One of my favorite scenes in any Pixar movie is the scene when the information sort of travels like telephones from Marlin telling a story on the turtle's back to the turtle telling a story to another fish telling the story, and it just goes all the way to Nigel, who then delivers it to Nemo. And it's this beautiful moment where the dialogue, the sweeping transition shots, and the music come together in this gorgeous, gorgeous moment for Pixar. I think that's really where it comes together. I do think, however, if I'm gonna get into negatives from me, I don't think the Nemo story is as strong as the Marlin story. It's not bad. I don't think their story is as compelling as Marlin and Dory trying to get to Nemo. When they finally get to Nemo, though, the climax is really good. Very sad. Love the scene where Dory is like, I don't want to forget, and when I'm with you, I remember. Beautiful stuff, especially from a comic relief character like Dory. But again, that's my biggest issue with the film. I think it's not as strong in the second storyline, I should say, as it is in the main storyline. Nowhere near bad, nowhere near mid. I don't think it's as good as Monsters, Inc. or Toy Story 1, but still very good. So if I had to put it somewhere on the list, we got to throw it on the tier list. Whew, I think it's a good B. I think it is. B is not bad. Not at all. B is still very good. I would still watch it. I just think as I've gotten older, it's gotten less strong as it was when I was younger. That's just the way I feel about Finding Nemo. After Finding Nemo, Pixar decides, you know, that was good. We need another masterpiece. We got to have another masterpiece on our hands. And they made one. They made The Incredibles. They made the fucking Incredibles. Man, sorry to swear, but the damn Incredibles was made. What does one even say about The Incredibles? Brad Bird comes in and is like, hey Pixar, I'm gonna make like some of the best movies in your studio's history, and this is gonna be my first one. I did a video on my Patreon, patreon.com/MasonIDK, by the way, if you want to join, it's only a couple bucks. That video was me ranking my favorite superhero films of all time. This was like top 5. And I don't see any reason why, if you're making a list of the best superhero movies ever made, you don't include The Incredibles. I don't see a reason why you don't. These characters are so well written, so well rounded, funny, charming, likable, and also you understand them. We get a heavy focus on Bob, Mr. Incredible, but that doesn't mean his family's left out. Like Elastigirl is wonderful. Violet, Dash, those feel like real kids to me. Like Dash especially, when you write little kids in movies, they're kind of underwritten or overwritten. They don't act like real kids. Dash acts like a real boy, and his personality matches his powers and his abilities. Every character is written to match their abilities so well. More than likely, if you're here in the live stream, if you're here on the channel, you're here because of my video on animated villains. Syndrome is the best of the best when it comes to Pixar villains, and there's no contest. He's one of the best when it comes to villains in movies, period. The most evil, diabolical, almost gets away with it bad guy that we've seen in any of these movies, and I'd argue in any superhero film. He's murdered so many people. So many heroes died to this character. You see all of that when Mr. Incredible goes to check out like the data for the Omnidroid, and you see all these heroes just dying and dying and dying, and it's tragic. And you get that it all comes from spite. It all comes from this, I couldn't be a hero, even though you could be, and he misinterprets Mr. Incredible. He misinterprets that character. And I've seen a lot of people also misinterpret the character. I'm gonna go to bat for Mr. Incredible for a little bit, because I think a lot of times he gets misinterpreted as like, you know, this movie's whole argument is that if you can't be a hero without powers. I don't think that's what the film's argument is. I think it's ultimately your attitude toward being a hero. Buddy, aka Syndrome, wants to be a hero for glory and fame and pride, and Mr. Incredible does not. Yes, there's part of him that misses the glory days, misses going out and fighting bad guys and getting the attention and going on the news and all that stuff. But ultimately, what he misses is saving people and being a good person. There's that great scene when he's in the office and the boss is kind of deriding him and giving him all this crap, and he looks out the window and sees that person getting mugged, and he cannot handle that someone is in trouble. It drives him crazy that he's not doing the right thing right now, especially working for an insurance company, which is what you're supposed to do, but they don't. They get taken advantage of. Just incredible stuff, incredible writing, and examples of these characters behaving like these characters. It's an amazing film. Yeah. Easy S. Easy S tier. Our second S tier of the list. It's Pixar doing what Pixar does best. It's great directing and writing doing what it does best. One of the best superhero movies ever made. It's The Incredibles. Flawless. Pixar's on a hot streak. They've done some of their best movies. And then they make Cars. I'm not a fan of Cars. Never really, okay, it's a decent movie. I think there's good stuff about it. It doesn't feel the same to me as these other movies that we've talked about so far. There's a difference in what it's trying to do. It definitely feels like the most like merchandise-based Pixar movie. It feels like the most simple of their movies, which is kind of funny because we've seen the story of like the big hotshot guy has to go to a, you know, bumpkin town and deal with that thing, and it doesn't feel super compelling to me because I kind of know where it's going. I know what's going to happen in the film, and that's fine to know what's going to happen in a movie. It's totally fine to. What it has to do though is it has to feel like you're going on some kind of journey with likable characters, and I don't love all of these characters. I think the most enjoyable character is probably Doc. I think that's because of Paul Newman's performance more than likely. I think he gives kind of a wizened old man style to his performance, and I think it's good for Lightning McQueen, but I don't love the voice acting from anybody in this movie particularly. Mater's fine as a side character. He gets a few laughs out of my family. It never charmed me in the way it did everybody else. This movie was like a huge merchandise thing for Pixar. It was a big old like sell. I don't love it. I will say though, the positives, because there are positives. Again, something that's going to be a kind of a consistent positive throughout this video entirely, this stream, is Pixar's animation gets better and better as the technology improves. Their rendering improves, their texturing improves, their modeling improves. Cars looks really good. Every movie kind of looks better than the last one in terms of like technical aspects. Style-wise, that's up to you to determine. In a technical sense, it always gets better. Another positive about the film that I like, it has a unique soundtrack for a Pixar film. A lot of country hits, a lot of rock stuff. Someone who grew up around country music, the Brad Paisley stuff was charming and cool. Doug Rascal Flatts, man, liked Life is a Highway. Used to have an iPod where that was the only song I had on it. True story, not even making that up. That's 100% true. I'm not kidding. You know what keeps this movie out of D tier? Chick Hicks, baby. C for Chick Hicks. Ka-chigga! Michael Keaton's funny in that role. Genuinely great. Wish he was in the movie more. Very funny. Cars. I'm gonna go see. I do think it's a little better than Bug's Life, though. I'll put it above Bug's Life. It's a little better. Well, the next movie, Ratatouille, by Brad Bird once again. And I gotta be honest, he made another banger. Oops, all bangers. Ratatouille is a masterpiece. Ratatouille, some could argue, one YouTuber specifically, that it's Pixar's masterpiece. It's really good. Like, Ratatouille is one of the films that kind of did the opposite of Finding Nemo for me. When I first watched it, I liked it. The older I got, the better this movie got. The more I was able to appreciate the intelligent writing, the pacing, the humor in it, the message that it had about creativity and criticism rolled into it, especially towards the end. This is a beautiful, beautiful film. I love Ratatouille. I think it is a perfect meditation on the idea of creativity, the spirit of it. You're going to find what works for you, fight for that thing that you love to do. And also the message toward the end of the film with Anton Ego, where he's not really even a villain. He's just a guy that got jaded and got really used to negative criticism, and that when he found something that brought him back to his childhood, brought him back to something that he had not felt in years, that changed him and he was able to defend the new. Which I've been in that position where you see a movie or you play a game or read a book where you're like, a lot of people don't like this, but I'm going to defend this because I know it's going to be liked, or I feel it's worthy of defending. And that's something that I think a lot of people who engage in criticism or analysis of any kind, I think Ratatouille is going to resonate with a lot of people for that. And it has resonated. I love Ratatouille. Man, there's really nothing to say other than Ratatouille's going to S. What can you say? After Ratatouille, we got WALL-E. WALL-E's beautiful. WALL-E really is a beautiful movie. I remember watching it for the first time and got this immediately very powerful vibe. I think a lot of that has to do with the film being a very visual film. The character of WALL-E, the character of Eve, those characters don't speak much other than their name or like a few phrases. So most of this is visual storytelling, and that from an animation perspective is very, very good because it lets the animators and the sound designers and all the colorists and visual artists tell that story. And the music that they chose from like Hello Dolly and old musicals really creates this almost very tragic vibe to Earth, but also beautiful. I love the shots where it starts out with like that song from Hello Dolly and you see the universe. Beautiful way to start this movie. I'm actually a defender of WALL-E a little bit. A lot of people don't like the second half of WALL-E. I disagree. I really like the second half of WALL-E. I think it just works as well as the first half. Like, I know people got used to this story of WALL-E and Eve by themselves on the remains of Earth, but when they go to space, that's part of the film's message, is seeing where humanity has gone, seeing how we're becoming very, lazy, slovenly. We're kind of getting used to relying on technology too much in outer space and leaving the Earth behind that we should have saved. And I think that adds to the themes of the film. I really enjoy the second half of WALL-E. I'm a defender, a staunch defender of the second half of WALL-E. I think it's just as worthy of being praised as the first. For me, it's an easy A or S, but personally, I'm going A just because I think these are a little stronger emotionally for me, but I have no problem saying that WALL-E belongs here. I'd say WALL-E's even better than Monsters, Inc., in my opinion. I'd say it's a little higher than Monsters, Inc. I love WALL-E. I think WALL-E's wonderful. What's up? That's a great transition. I'm going to steal that, Becca. As Becca here in my chat said, what's up? What's up is the next Pixar film, Up. However you feel about the story of Up, the characters of Up, whatever, the first 10 minutes of this film deserved an Oscar alone. Like, growing up and showing that life in a beautiful, fast-forwarded way with Michael Giacchino's incredible score. The divisive part is, how do you feel about the second half? How do you feel when the movie actually starts, when they go to Paradise Falls, the adventures that happen there, meeting Charles Muntz, meeting all of the dogs that talk, and it becomes kind of an action adventure, sort of like an old school adventure film. I like it. I like that part of the movie. I do. I think it is good. This is another one of those films that I think the more I watch it, the less I tend to enjoy the movie as it goes on, but I do not think it is bad by any means. I think this is a really good movie. I think the voice acting is very, very good. I really love Ed Asner's performance as Carl. I love Russell. I think he's super cute and super funny. Love the dog. Love Doug. Charles Muntz is a pretty damn good villain for Pixar. I like the imagination of the film. I like how silly it ends up towards the end. I think there's a beautiful relationship that sort of forms between Carl and Russell. It's not as strong as Toy Story, WALL-E, Monsters, Inc., but it's still very good. If I've got to put it on the tier list, I think it's high B. I don't know if I love it more than Finding Nemo. Finding Nemo is a little stronger than Up, but overall, Up is really good. I do like Up. Our next film is a big one. Toy Story 3. Toy Story 3 was it's like a phenomenon when it came out. Like, I remember this coming out, and I was first blown away that a Toy Story was actually coming out in theaters again. It had been so long since Toy Story 2, but that also puts a lot of pressure on Toy Story 3, because for a lot of people, including myself, Toy Story 2 is like the best sequel ever. It's like the best Pixar sequel, best Pixar movie, probably. So how do you follow that up? Well, You make Toy Story 3. That's how you follow that up. Toy Story 3 understood what made the first two movies work and expanded on that by taking its time. It didn't feel like a cash in. It felt like a genuine progression of that story. Those years had passed since Toy Story 2. We had been so long without a Toy Story movie that when Andy grows up, in a way, we feel like we grew up as Andy did in real life. We were older with these movies. Some of us were, I was a little younger, but some of us were in high school going off to college when Toy Story 3 came out. Some of us were more into video games and putting our toys away and kind of moving on from that. Some of us were looking back on these movies in a different way, and I think that genuinely affected the audience. That's one of the strongest things about Toy Story 3. The nostalgia doesn't feel like just nostalgia service. It feels like a genuine progression of the story. People were obsessed with this thing when it came out. The animation is great. Again, like all these movies, the animation just improves year after year after year, and seeing these characters, their models not changing too strongly, but they still look great. They look like you remember them in a weird way. Like they look so good. You're like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I remember that they look like. One of the best Pixar villains of all time in Lotso. Lotso is an incredible villain. Real evil, but you also kind of get it. You genuinely understand his motivations, but you also see the holes in it. We've now grown to love these characters. We've seen them struggle. We've seen them go through character change after character change, and we see now where they are in life. They want to be appreciated as toys. They want to be played with, and you understand why they would be so quick to accept going to a daycare center. You see Woody's journey in this one being like, yeah, it's time to let go. If I had to point out a flaw with Toy Story 3, honestly, it's not a big one, but it's one that sadly does get bigger. I think Buzz Lightyear, my boy Buzz, gets a little shafted after Toy Story 2, in my opinion. He is not a strong character in this movie. He works. Like, I think he's funny in this. I think he has some great lines. He spends most of the film being in Spanish mode, which is very funny. I love his Spanish mode, but that's the majority of what he's doing for like a good amount of the movie. And he's also resorted back to Space Ranger Buzz even before that. So there's not a whole lot of like Buzz work here, because I think they went as far as they could with his character. So that was kind of disappointing. But for the most part, if that's really my only flaw with this, that's the only flaw I got. It's an easy A. And that's where I'm going to keep it. I know a lot of people love this one and thinks it's even better than like the first one. I don't think so. I don't think it's better than these movies here, personally. Still love it though. Easy A. Pixar's gonna have a lot of A's, I feel like. Good A movies. Thank you, Pixar, for Toy Story 3. Badass movie. Unfortunately, it's kind of crazy to look at Toy Story 3 and see that Cars 2 followed it up. Is anybody gonna argue that this isn't the worst thing Pixar's ever done? Cars 2 is bad, man. Like, it's just straight up bad. Toy Story had amazing sequels because there was so much you could do with Toy Story. What more could you do with Cars? To make not only a sequel to Cars, but to make a Cars sequel that was a spy action movie. Yeah, that's what I wanted to see after the first Cars, a movie about like a celebrity learning to be humble. Yeah, let's take Mater, this already kind of grating side character, make him the main character and put him in a spy movie. What a bafflingly stupid decision. This movie's embarrassing. It is an embarrassing movie to have in their repertoire. If you like it, fine. I just don't get this movie. I've never understood it. I never saw it going this way. It was never exciting. What a bad movie. And I saw it in theaters too. Easiest F tier of my life. Easiest. It's crazy to look at what they had before. To look at all this. Even these here are not terrible. These are not wastes of time movies. They're just fine. This is so bad. So bad. Any movie after Cars 2 is going to be better. I wish it wasn't Brave though. People like Brave. I'm not one of them. I've never enjoyed Brave. This is Morgan, who made an appearance on the stream a little while ago, has a bigger hatred of this than me, but he really dislikes it. He doesn't like the story about people getting turned into animals, and I kind of get why. There's nothing in it that is compelling once that character becomes an unspeaking creature for the majority of the movie, and it already didn't help that I didn't like the characters that much to begin with. There are cool things about it. I do like some of the music, the environments that they show at the beginning of the film. I think there's some funny stuff with some of the suitors that show up, but that's really about it for me. I have watched this like 3 or 4 times and never could vibe with it. I will say it's not F tier. It's not F tier bad. I would say, because it's just a big nothing to me, maybe an E. I think E makes a little more sense than like F, but also there's not enough redeeming factors of it for me to put it in D. Okay, after Brave, we got Monsters University. I have a feeling Monsters University might be my most controversial. People really love this movie. It has gotten more popular since it came out, and I wanted to like it. I was like, dude, love Monsters Inc. I don't know how I feel about a prequel though. And I was like, okay, I'm open to it. Didn't like it, just didn't. And I've watched it many times wanting to vibe with it. Yeah, Monsters University didn't really go for me. There are things I like, and I will get the positives out of the way. I do think there are really good scenes in it. The scene towards the end of the film, whenever Mike and Sully sort of work together, I really enjoy that. I like Randall's sort of like petty evolution into a bad guy. I think that works for him. It's not a major focus. I like the performances of Billy Crystal and John Goodman. I think they always work well. There's a charm that they have on me that'll never go away. At the end of the day, I do not care about like a college movie with the Monsters Inc. characters. I know there's no stakes because they end up working together anyway, and their conflict isn't that interesting. Mike being the main character, I'm not mad about. I actually like that idea, because Sully was the focus in the first film. I don't care for Mike's arc in this. I didn't connect with it as much as I thought I was going to, but a lot of people like it, man. There have been like whole essays on it about how great it is. In my opinion, it's a D. And I'm sorry to anybody who likes it, but in my opinion, it's a D. Not as bad as Brave. It's not forgettable. It's not mediocre. There is good stuff in it. There are very good scenes in it. If people want it higher, I understand. If you do, feel free. This is called All Pixar Animation. Go make your own tier list and let me know what it is. I genuinely would like to know. After Monsters University, after that movie, in my opinion, we reached unfathomable levels of We Are So Back. Inside Out was great. Inside Out, to me, when I went and saw this in theaters, I was so like, man, I have not felt the Pixar magic in so long. And Monsters University was so disappointing and all this other, I was like not into it. Inside Out captured my heart in ways that I didn't think I was ready for. There's the Pixar that I was missing for so long, and I'm so glad that it came back. I'm so glad that this is what they went with. I love the concept. Yeah, it's not completely original. People complain about that. Like, oh, it's ripping off. Look, personifying emotions has been done forever. Get over it. It's not unoriginal. What is original about it, what does work, is how realistic Riley is portrayed and how much you can see this film as a film about a girl going through a difficult time, moving to a new place, learning new things. Those are difficult things for a kid. And when you're a kid, you see the world through this amplified way, especially when you're growing up. And I felt so touched by that because I had been through things like that growing up. It's hard to move to a new place. It's hard to meet new people. It's hard to have your life change. And some emotions just start taking over. You feel like you can't find happiness anymore, and all you have is anger and disgust and sadness. And the film stresses the importance of sadness. It gives sadness a platform, and that's okay. It's okay to be sad. And the movie makes a point out of that. Like, some of the greatest moments of our life start with sadness, start with our low points. A lot of people in the chat, probably, some people that I know, and definitely me, struggle with depression. Depression's hard. And I needed that cry that I got after watching this, like, to open up to your family and be like, it's hard, but I need you and the family to be so appreciative and be understanding of her. I loved it. This was a beautiful film, and it proved that you can do so much with so little. You really can. It's a simplistic film, but it's a beautiful one. Plugging it into the tier list, it's an easy A. Easy for me. Especially when I needed it after, the run we had for a minute. I needed it, and I was glad to get it. The Good Dinosaur. Let me start by saying I watched this pretty recently. This is a pretty easy movie to impress me with. I love dinosaurs, right? My first video was about Jurassic Park. Love dinosaurs. And that is why, unfortunately, even though it was perfectly set up to grab my heart, I didn't care for this at all. This was boring as hell. Like, it was so disappointing, and just, it dragged, and I didn't feel invested in it, and I don't like this one at all. There are positives, and I will say the positives. I always do. I think every film has positives. I really love the idea of like a society where the meteor did not hit Earth, and dinosaurs have grown to sort of farm and forage and be the dominant species, with humans being more like animals. I like that concept. And I liked the beginning of the film. I was like into it. I was like, this is really cool. I loved seeing them live their farmer life. I liked how their society was kind of shown off. I wish I could have seen more of it. That was something I was looking forward to. Then it became like the buddy movie with Arlo and like the human, and it didn't grab me in the way that I was hoping it would. Without a doubt, a big positive, this movie's gorgeous to look at. The environments are absolutely beautiful. Almost like photos to look at. And that was the best part. I was a little bored, but hey, I got very pretty images to look at. And I think it kind of clashed with the cartoony dinosaur design a little bit, but I don't think that's a huge flaw. I think it's just a stylistic choice. I don't have a whole lot to get off my chest here, except for I knew where it was going. Very predictable stuff. Also, like, they make a whole thing in this movie about getting back to his parents, or like his mom and his brothers, or his brother and sister, and you barely get to know them. He gets all the way back. His mom says, "Oh, Arlo," and that's it. That's all we get of the reunion between these characters. But also, there's barely a mom in the movie. There's barely the brother and sister. We don't get to know these people. We get to know the dad a little bit, and that was kind of sweet, but then the dad was really dumb and got himself killed. The death of the dad made me laugh out loud. It was so abrupt and silly. I did not expect it at all. I don't think it's completely worthless. It's better than Brave. But do I put it here? Where are we going? I think we're gonna go there. Moving on to a film I feel pretty similarly about, Finding Dory. Finding Dory is not as viscerally offensive to me as Cars 2, but still feels like, why? What are we doing here? Why are we making a movie about Dory? What's the point? You took one line about Dory not remembering where her family was and you turned it into a whole movie. That's like Solo levels of stupid, like Star Wars Solo levels of dumb to me. I don't care about one line of character building being turned into a whole movie. It has to sustain it, and I did not vibe with Finding Dory. And this is another one people have really started to like, and I don't get it. I don't get it. I think Marlin is really annoying in this movie. I loved him in the first one. I don't think Dory works as a main character. She's not as annoying as Mater. I will say that. This is before I hated Ellen DeGeneres entirely. There's a few nice scenes in it. I think sweet scenes with her parents. They're very, very cute. I still think the movie's very pretty to look at, but I would have liked more scenes in the ocean and not more scenes in this like Marine Institute that isn't as pretty as the ocean. Like the one thing I love the most about Finding Nemo, we kind of spend a lot of time away from. I don't know, man. This one also kind of a wet fart of a movie. Didn't do a whole lot for me. I don't think it is as annoying as these two. I don't think it's harmful. For me personally, it's a D. For me personally, if I had to choose. C is like, I would watch it. D, I don't want to watch these. I guess that's like my way of going. We got Cars 3. Cars 3 kind of surprised me a little bit. I expected this to be terrible, especially after Cars 2. I was like, I never want to see another Cars movie again. Honestly, it ain't that bad. It's fine. I wouldn't say it's great or anything. I wouldn't say it blew me away. It tried to go back to the way the first Cars felt, which was the most like, okay, that's the most fun part of the movie, of the first Cars. It's like, it's got a chill vibe. This one has a chill vibe too. It's not trying to be whatever the hell Cars 2 was. The character of Lightning gets a full character closure in this one, which I do think is nice. I think it makes sense for his character to go that route. I like to see him step into the shoes of Doc from the first film. I like Cruz. I think she's fine. Nobody in this movie blew me away in terms of character. I did enjoy this one. I think it was okay. I think it's about the same level as the first Cars of like, yeah, it was fine. I'll watch it. I will say the biggest sin of this movie is that's not Michael Keaton as Chick Hicks. That's somebody else. I don't care that he wasn't available. Don't put Chick Hicks in the movie without Michael Keaton. Sorry to whoever voiced him. You're not Chick Hicks, okay? You don't get to say Kachiga. Only Michael Keaton gets to say that, okay? Just gonna put Cars 3 right here. Yeah, I think this is about right. I don't like it more than the first one. I don't like it more than Bug's Life. I think it fits in C. It's a decent C movie. Kind of surprising, especially because I was like, dude, sequels, I'm so done with them. It was okay. It tried to do the first one again, and hey, it's better than what Cars 2 did, man. Like, what choice do you have with how bad Cars 2 was? I also think it's very funny that they barely put Mater in this movie because of how bad Cars 2 was. Like, Mater's not a major presence in Cars 3. He's just not. And I think that works for the best. So, moving on from Cars 3, we hit another level of We Are So Back. Dude, Coco fucking rocks. Coco is great. I was amazed with how good Coco was. Just a beautiful, beautiful movie with beautiful music, such a purposeful intent in its soundtrack and design, its culture, its vibe, the musical performances, the vocal performances from the main characters were wonderful. It was funny. It had a real energy that you had not seen in this company in a while, and it emotionally wrecked me. Like, it was like, man, this hits so hard. It feels like that Pixar that I was missing. There aren't a lot of flaws with this one. There really aren't. It has a true appreciation for its culture. It has a true appreciation for the story it's trying to tell. It has a vibrancy that I was missing. Love Coco, beautifully animated, beautifully written film. I think Coco is a high A. Where am I gonna put it? Do I like it more than Inside Out? I think so. I think a little bit more. Glad this movie got appreciated. Glad this movie made money. Don't feel good about the sequel they just announced because damn it, man, like just don't do it. But that's a rant for another time. And speaking of sequels, Incredibles 2. So this is a rarity because Incredibles 2 is one of the very rare Pixar sequels that people were actually asking for. Like people wanted this. I wanted this. For me to ask for a sequel is kind of crazy, but I thought there was so much you could do with The Incredibles and still think there is stuff you could do with it. I really do, which ultimately makes this a very big disappointment for me. Again, this is not a bad movie. I've heard a lot of people say this is a terrible film, one of their worst. I disagree. I disagree completely. I think this is a good movie, but sadly, it's not a great one. There's a lot of issues here. I think it falters in its villain. I think it falters in its focus. It doesn't quite know what it wants to focus on. I don't hate either of the stories in it. I don't think they work well together. Like I was invested in what Elastigirl was doing, great action sequences, great stuff. I was invested in what Mr. Incredible was doing, but like he kind of comes off as a bit of a jerk in this one, which he wasn't in the first movie, in my opinion. I think the animation is very, very good. However, I do agree. A lot of people are like, there's a weird level of realism that they put on Mr. Incredible that makes him look a little off, but again, it's just seeing him in a higher definition is a bit odd. There are good things about it. Again, great score. There's a great visual style. I like some of the new heroes they introduced to it. The action sequences, they're very well done. Like the first Incredibles had amazing action sequences. They just really know how to direct them. I like the concept of the screenslaver. I hate who it ended up being because it was so predictable that I was like, they really can't go here. They can't do this. And they did. They put a twist villain in My Incredibles. In My Incredibles, man. Like, come on. With the good things this movie does, it still ended up being a bit disappointing to me. I don't think it belongs lower than C, but I think unfortunately it is a C. I think it's fine. And it's sad that The Incredibles ended up being fine. It should have been much better. I do like it better than A Bug's Life and all these other ones. I think it's the closest to being good of all of these, but unfortunately I can't give it higher than that. We got another sequel that we did not need. Toy Story 4. Now, however, Toy Story 2 is okay. It's okay. The problem is, for a Toy Story movie to be okay is kind of criminal considering how good the first three are. There's been no Toy Story movie under A. This will be the first one under A, unfortunately. This one, people like either love it or violently hate it. I think I'm kind of somewhere nudged towards dislike, but not all the way towards it. I don't feel disdain for this movie by any means, but I do feel like, what are we doing here? I almost was like, man, it better not be like Cars 2. Luckily, it wasn't anything like Cars 2. There was some love and care put in here. It's gorgeously animated. All the actors do a great job. There are some good emotional moments, but they feel like emotional moments just because I love the characters and not for what they do in the movie. It's entirely baiting my nostalgia. And a Toy Story movie, as we saw from Toy Story 3, it let that time grow from having a movie. This one didn't do anything with it that was interesting to me. I like the idea of Bo Peep. I don't like how they presented it. I think they kind of don't show her growing enough, which is crazy because like they portray her as like, oh, she's a survivor. And I like that idea. We don't get enough of it happening. They also show us a Bo Peep that was never in the first two films. Like Bo Peep was always like, you know, little Bo Peep. She was, you know, she played the damsel in all of Andy's games or whatever. They try to imply she was never like that, and that's just an outright lie at the beginning of the movie. I do like Bo Peep in this movie. I think she's fine. I like Duke Kaboom. I like some of the side characters. The plushies are fine. They kind of overdo their jokes though, the Key and Peele plushies. But man, Buzz Lightyear, dude. My man Buzz. What y'all do to my man? What did you do to my boy? He's nothing in this. He's an outright moron in this movie. There's like scenes where he's like, oh, my inner voice, is it this button that I press? And it's like, that's not Buzz Lightyear. Like, yeah, Buzz is naive, but Buzz isn't stupid. He's not a dumb person. He saved Woody in Toy Story 2. He was the guy holding the group together in that movie. And they made him a moron in this. What was the point? His character is so shafted, even worse than 3. And Woody, in my opinion, acts a little out of character here. I know that there's more videos on it than what I could give. People argue it's a natural progression for him. I disagree. What's consistent about him, I will say, is that he wants to be good for kids. He wants to provide that care for children. He loves to do that. However, like, you think after the first movie he would learn, like, hey, as long as we're here for Bonnie, it's fine. But he becomes kind of self-absorbed in this one. Like, he's not getting played with. He doesn't have anything to do. I don't think that is the right angle to take Woody, personally. Didn't enjoy watching it. Didn't like him yelling at people again. Forky sucked. Forky annoyed the shit out of me. Can't believe we spent so much time with that guy. Yeah, Toy Story 4 was all over the place. It was an all over the place movie to me. Just completely all over. Where do I put it? That's going to be a struggle for me. This might be the hardest one. Because there are moments that shine through here, and then there are moments that just don't work. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's better than these two, but personally, kind of a downgrade for Toy Story in my opinion. In my personal opinion, it is the worst Toy Story movie, but again, you know, there's good in there. But luckily, after Toy Story 4, we did get an original. We got Onward. I was happy to see Onward. I didn't go in with high expectations, but I enjoyed it. Like, I think Onward's sweet. It's a sweet movie. I like the brothers. I think the brother dynamic's a lot of fun. I like the D&D sort of focus, especially since it's like a fantasy world that used to have magic and then moved towards the modern world. I like that. I like that Chris Pratt's character is a D&D player. I think that was a lot of fun. I like brotherly love movies. I have a lot of brothers, so I kind of vibe with that. I think it was very sweet how they chose to end the movie. It was very beautiful. It's not an amazing film by any means, but I do think it's better than like C Tier. I really do. I went back and watched this and I appreciated it more the second time. There are issues. I do think the biggest issue is like Chris Pratt's fine, but he's just playing Chris Pratt. Like, you know, Tom Holland in this is doing a performance. Like he is that character. His brother is just Chris Pratt, which like a D&D nerd does not a Chris Pratt make. If that's my biggest issue with it, it's not a lot of issues. That really isn't. I'd rather watch this over like Cars or, you know, or even Incredibles 2. I'd watch this over that. I think it's totally fine, and personally, without a lot to say, I do think it belongs in B. I think it's a B-tier Pixar movie, personally. I would watch it again after Onward. We got another more original movies. Thank you, Pixar. I appreciate it. Are we getting back into a good run? I think we are, because I really like Soul. Like, I really did. I think Soul worried me at first, because I heard from people when it came out, like, oh, it's a movie about a guy turning into a cat. I was like, oh, are we doing this? Are we doing this again? I don't love those kind of movies. It actually handled it a little better. It's still my least favorite part of the movie. For the character of Joe, I don't love him being a cat, but for 22, I think that was wonderful, what happened with 22. I like the message of the movie. I like the vibe of the movie. It's very pretty. I love its emphasis on music. Similar to Coco, it has an emphasis on jazz music, and it lets you live in that jazz world. But even more than jazz music, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross did the score, and my goats can't do nothing wrong. They really can't. Even in weak movies, those dudes are banging out soundtracks that are so unique. It feels unique. The world feels unique. I love spending time in The Great Before, The Great After. I wish there was more time there, but what I got, I really liked. And I liked that when they went back to Earth, they actually had lessons to learn while back on it. It wasn't just like goofing around with them in different bodies. They actually had a reason for it to happen. I liked Soul a lot more than I thought I was going to. I really enjoyed it. So personally, when it comes to ranking Soul, I think it's an A. I think Soul's really good. I don't think I like it more than Inside Out or Coco by any means, but it's getting there. Like, I think there was a part towards the end where I was like, man, I'm feeling this. I'm feeling really good about watching this. This is a good movie. Soul's great. Yeah, just 5 left. Speaking of 5, I think we're gonna get started with another movie that really surprised me. Luca was great. Luca was super cute. It was a very adorable movie. It had such a pretty environment. I love the water in this movie. I like beach movies. You know, I'm not a beach guy, obviously. I don't have, despite my incredible physique that would make everybody jealous at the beach, I'm not a big beach guy. I'm not also a sun guy. I'm a nerd. I stay inside all day. I like to stay in the darkness and my weird goblin shit. But I like environments like this, whether it's like Mario Sunshine or, you know, Wind Waker. Luca has that same kind of vibe where it's very beachy. It has a beautiful, like the Italian vista environment. I think the characters are so sweet and so likable. And they're portrayed as real, like, young boys and young girls, and that, like, they're figuring the world out and they're figuring out their independence, and it's handled so well. The stuff they do with the parents is wonderful in this. I was worried it was going to be, they're not going to listen to their kid, and they end up actually doing it. The antagonist is just really funny. He's just a little piece of shit, and I like that. It's a simple bad guy. Luca was very surprising to me. I liked Luca. I didn't go in with a lot of expectations based on the trailer, but I got a lot out of it. Similar to Soul, I like when I go into something not expecting a lot and leave with a good time. Just a really sweet time. It's a cute movie. I think that's the best compliment. It's just a really good time of a movie. Do I feel strong enough to put it in A? Or do I put it high B? I think it has a strong enough scene like soul. I don't think so. I think it's a high B. Better than Onward. Honestly, controversially, a little better than Up. I'm gonna be real with you. I think it's a high B. Personally do. So moving on from Luca, we get yet again another original film. I'm so happy we got a streak of original films. And you know what? Similar to Luca, I think Turning Red was very cute. Turning Red was very sweet. It was a solid, sweet movie. I don't think it was amazing or groundbreaking in any way, but what I appreciated about Turning Red the most was the embracing of its style. It has this very, I know it's like a Korean family, so it has like a manhwa kind of style, very expressive, almost anime style moments in it. I like the character designs, the very bubbly, you know, rounded character designs in it. They embrace like familial trauma. Family trauma was like the big antagonist of the film. Now I have to stress that I do feel like a dinosaur in the fact that this movie straight up has early 2000s nostalgia. Stop that. You're making me feel old. Don't do that. We can wait. Let's wait a little longer for 2000s nostalgia, please. This is a really good movie. It's very funny, very cute. It's Canadian, very Canadian. Would have loved some Rush in there, but I know it was the early 2000s. They didn't listen to a lot of Rush, you know. I just want Rush in every movie. Remember whenever people got really mad at this movie for like making period jokes? Like a bunch of conservatives got mad about that. What a lame thing to get mad about. It handles the idea of growing up and changing in a very unique way. I like that the character has time to connect with her friends more over this. Like her friends are a very good support group, a very great portrayal of friends, like young friends in a strong and like a tough time trying to bond with one another. I really like that. I think it's very sweet. I like their obsession with like NSYNC type like boy band. It was a lot of fun. Overall, Turning Red was a good time. Turning Red was a really good time. I wouldn't say it's the strongest movie in the world by any means. Not the strongest Pixar film, but I like a nice original Pixar film. I'm always going to give it points for that. And it's animated very beautifully. I think it belongs in B above Onward. Stronger than Onward. Not as strong as Up. Not as strong as Luca. But I liked it. Good job, Turning Red. Good job on you. So, after a really good run there of like, you know, Turning Red, Soul, Luca, all those, we get Lightyear. What are we doing here? Like, what are we doing here? Seriously, what? Why? Lightyear is such a silly idea for a movie. Think about Buzz Lightyear as a character, okay? Think about the toy Buzz Lightyear. The reason why Buzz Lightyear was so funny, the comedic value that Buzz Lightyear brought to the first Toy Story is that he was a character that felt like an amalgamation of Star Wars, Star Trek, and all those cliches of sci-fi coming together. He literally says the plot of Star Wars in the first film. A Zurg has a device capable of destroying an entire planet. I alone know the structure's only weakness. That's just the Death Star, right? And it's funny because that's what kids would be into who bought toys like that, right? That's funny. In Toy Story 2, we get a window into the world of Buzz Lightyear in the game, in the video game that Andy has. Why then, if this is supposed to be the movie that Andy fell in love with Buzz Lightyear over, why is it so bland and so boring and so lifeless and just devoid of the personality that Buzz Lightyear has? It would have been great if this movie, I think genius even, if it was a corny sci-fi movie that didn't take itself seriously. But this movie insists so hard that it's to be taken seriously. This is the real shit that Andy fell in love with. Andy's got terrible taste in movies, dude. Didn't like the way Buzz was characterized in this movie. He was a jerk. He was kind of dumb. Didn't like any of the side characters. They were all super annoying and boring. Socks literally exists to sell merchandise. That is the reason he's there. This whole film feels very cynical. Almost Cars 2 levels of cynical, if I'm being honest. Like, it's that close to me. I did not like this at all. I was dreading this movie when it was coming to it. I was ready to go in with an open mic because I heard people liked it, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna give it a chance. I gave it a fair shot. It did not work. As a matter of fact, I wanted it to be over as soon as possible. Did not like this at all. It did not work for me. Again, animation is very impressive. There are very good showcases of environment here. They all feel very reminiscent of something, but that's it. Buzz being Zurg is so dumb. Like, it's just such a dumb thing. Like, Buzz lands, they try to arrest him for like 2 seconds, and he goes, you know what? That's it, bad guy time. And it's like, okay, maybe talk to everybody first. He's also in the movie for like 2 minutes. That's all we get of him. What's the point? What was the point of the whole thing? It feels pointless. The whole movie feels like a pointless endeavor to bank on the name of Buzz Lightyear. That's all it feels like to me. I don't like this movie at all. could not wait for it to be over. No, Buzz Lightyear deserves better than this. For me, boom, there it goes. Not as bad as Cars 2, but my God, it's almost there for me. I did not like it at all. Elemental. Now, Elemental, I will say, original idea. We got points. Good for you. The animation's pretty. Just, this movie was boring as shit. Like, I could not get through it. I remember when it was up for an Oscar, I sat through it and I was like, this movie could have ended like 30 minutes ago. Another family trauma sort of movie that doesn't even really rely too much on its own metaphor. Like, it tries to have like a biracial couple thing going on. It doesn't really play into it too much. Like, I don't quite get what it's doing. The characters do very predictable stuff in it. You know where it's going to go from the first minute. They tried to force a meme for this movie to take off. What was it? The little guy, what was his name? Claude or something? Was that his name? I tried to be like Zootopia and handled like race issues, immigrant issues, that kind of stuff. I appreciate that, but I just found this movie to be painfully boring and average, and I don't have time to even talk about it. Genuinely, I don't know what I'm supposed to say other than I thought it was boring as shit. Not as bad as Lightyear. I think it's above Good Dinosaur, but that's not saying a lot. Sorry, for anybody who liked Elemental. I did not care for Elemental, like, at all. Can we squeak out with one last great movie? Yes, we can. Man, Inside Out 2, what a shock. I remember when the trailer dropped Inside Out 2, I was so nervous. I was like, dude, I love Inside Out. Do not screw up Inside Out 2. I was like, I don't know if I feel about this. They replaced some of the actors in it for whatever reason. I was so nervous. Did this need a sequel? Did it need it? You nailed it. The one sequel I thought you really didn't need, you managed to expand on something that worked in the first film. You gave her new emotions. You handled new stuff in this movie. A girl going through puberty, going through those changes. You took, and again, it's simple. It doesn't try to be bigger than it is. It's a girl going through puberty, growing up. That's a normal thing that happens to people. Like, the first movie was all about her moving. This one's about her going to like a camp for hockey and, you know, trying to fit in with other people and not making the right choices out of fear of, you know, being ostracized. And that's beautiful. And we've been through that. I think a lot of people have been through that. This movie was like already riding high on B for me. High B tier, gonna go way up there. And then it hit the scene where the line comes in where it says, I'm not good enough. And I was like, well, you did it again, Inside Out. You spoke to my damn depression. You hit me right here, movie. And I'm shocked, genuinely floored by how good this movie was. Floored. And I'm so glad that Pixar, at least right now, where we are on the tier list, was able to get another A out there. Do I think it's better than Soul? I actually, nah, I think I'll keep it there. I'll let time tell. It's more recent. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, people of all ages, all genders. Here it is. Here it is. The Pixar tier list, finished, complete, ready to go. I may do like a numbered ranking at this point in the video. I'm gonna release this as its own video, so in the video we'll put it here. A ranking from like 28 to 1 of how I actually rank them, but this is how I feel. So glad that there's, you know, so many A, B, and S tiers here. Like, they've made more good movies than bad movies, and that's saying something. Pixar is one of those studios that deserves the respect that it gets. It really does. It has some very, very beautiful work put into these movies. Very talented people working on those movies. People from all walks of life that are willing to show parts of their personality, parts of their culture, things they've been through the art of animation and show it to the world. And yeah, they stumble. They make some sequels that aren't great. They kind of have Disney force them into a corporate greed kind of thing going on every once in a while. But for the most part, though, they're able to squeak out some classics every once in a while. Some movies that I think are going to be remembered very, very well. And some that stand the test of time, truly. Hey everybody, this is end of the video voiceover Mason here. Just want to drop in and say thank you so much for watching this edited down version of the tier list ranking of Pixar movies. I've been doing a few streams lately and I've really enjoyed doing those streams. I'm trying to get together a sort of schedule for when I will be streaming here on the channel. Just give me feedback on what you think about this style of video. I feel like it's a good idea to have videos like this every once in a while edited down from the stream so I can give you guys more videos while I work on the next video essay, the next one coming out hopefully next week. There will be a new video essay out, the one that I'm currently writing and editing right now. If you would like to send me your own tier list of the Pixar films, please join the Patreon, patreon.com/MasonIDK, and you can join the Discord where you can message me directly and tell me what you think. Tell me how wrong I am about the Pixar ranking. Check out some of my previous videos if you're interested. Please subscribe to the channel if you'd like notifications on when I do my next video or my next stream. Thanks to all of my patrons and my executive producer patrons, Lapis Lazuli, VA, and Lizard Gang. Again, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.